Hello and welcome to this episode of the Sticky Note Marketing Show. I'm your host, Mary Czarnecki, and today I'm excited to introduce you to our guest expert, Vance Morris. So today we are going to be digging into the topic and secret of customer retention. So if you are a business owner who has ever felt that pain of the constant churn of customers or really not being able to monetize that customer experience or really felt frustrated about the customer experience that you're delivering for your audience, this is going to be the episode for you. So Vance helps business owners get, serve, and keep clients for life. So that's what we're going to be learning today. Thank you, Vance, for being our guest on our show here today.
Thanks, Mary. I appreciate it. We're having a little fun today.
Absolutely. So I know there are definitely people who are listening and watching to us today who may be familiar with you, but for those who are meeting you for the first time, tell us a little bit about your business and who you work with.
Sure thing. I'll give you a little bit of the background real quick because it'll make everything else will make sense from here. So I spent a decade working for the Mouse, Walt Disney World down in Orlando. So I've been able to package up all of my Disney knowledge into a couple of programs and systems, and that way I can help small businesses. Really, I'm not on the getting of customers, so lead generation and that kind of thing. Leave that to the experts. But once you get a customer, that's where I can pick up and show you really how to create experiences. Disney has mastered this, by the way. They know how to take a boring and mundane thing like answering the telephone or greeting a guest and have turned it into an experience. And they've figured out how to get money from you at the same time. Everybody knows Disney is a master at extracting money from your wallet and leaving you feel happy about it. And short term, that's what I show businesses how to do. And then after that, really the customer experience is setting up how you retain a customer. And I will repeat this probably 86 times. It is not the customer's job to remember the business. It is our job as the business owners to remind the customers why we exist. And so I have put my emphasis really in the last year has really been on that customer retention piece. And it's vital to your success and it's vital to your profitability. And I'm raring and ready to go, Mary. So lay the questions on me.
Amazing. I love it. I know one of the things that I see even smart, savvy business owners deal with is retention. So tell me, why is this such a big struggle? Why do so many businesses struggle with customer retention?
Well, it's crazy. I ask a lot of people this. I said, do you have a marketing budget? 9 out of 10 will say yes. And then I'll ask them the follow-up question. I said, how much of that is allocated to customer retention? And they look at you like deer in the headlights and they don't have anything. In my world, especially in the marketing world, if you know anything about Google pay-per-click, it is ridiculously expensive to get a new customer. Oh, one of the things I didn't mention, here in Maryland, I own 3 home service businesses. So I have a carpet cleaning business and a mold company and Oriental rug washing. So I'm very familiar with this Google pay-per-click stuff. I can't do it, but I know how much it costs. So last month in January, $133 for me to get a lead in the front door. Now, that's not cheap, but I can tell you that it only cost me $22 for the entire year for me to market to one of my previous clients. So if I serve one of my previous clients, I am already $100 more profitable just by marketing and serving my previous clients. Now, I know that I need new clients in order for the business to grow. I get that. But if you want to grow profitably, you have to focus on your existing client base. They're the easiest. They've already bought from you. They already know you, and that whole know and trust, they already know you. They are easier to sell to. They're easier to upsell. If you have a new product coming out, they're the first ones that will try that from you. It's really, I don't want to say it's an untapped source of revenue, but for most companies, it is. They get them once and then poof, that's it. They're on to the next one. So it's really, most businesses do, one, I don't think they know what to do. A lot of times we get beat over the heads by some of these companies. They always have a sale. Oh, we got a sale this month. Oh, we got a sale this month. And I'm like, it stinks to be on the receiving end of that. How would you feel if every time you heard from a company, the only time you heard from them is when they want money from you? That's not a relationship.
Unfortunately, that's the case for so many
It
situations,
is.
right?
Oh yeah, it's horrible. So I like to, and we can talk about this whenever you want, but I'd like to, yes, we do need to sell stuff. Got that, because until money exchanges, there's business doesn't happen. But there are other parts of retention that we need to put in place here so that we do have that longevity, so that we do have customers for life. I don't remember what the question was, but I think I answered it.
You definitely did. And just a reminder for all of you guys watching and listening, please get your sticky notes out or your mental sticky notes if you're driving or running while you're listening to this. But I think what I'm hearing you say, Vance, is that, and I hear it from my clients too, which is, oh, yes, marketing is acquisition, right? It's getting people into my business, it's advertising, really. It's how do we interest people, right? We captivate the attention. But then you make a really good point, which is okay, but then if we never try to keep the attention, if we don't continue to introduce them to new things we're offering or remind them that we even exist, because maybe like a carpet cleaning business, you might not need that every week, or it's not like getting into your grocery basket every Tuesday when you go to the grocery store, but it is something that they will probably likely need again, or will be able to refer you. So how does that work? Do you have any good examples or specific examples of businesses that have done these things to keep people coming back to them? So what are some examples of ways people can do this?
Sure. And there, as I mentioned, this is inexpensive. For $22 to market to somebody for an entire year versus one-shot deal to get somebody in the first time. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that this is not expensive. I like to go with a three-prong approach, and I also like to get offline. Everybody's inbox is just jam-packed with junk, some important stuff. Most inboxes they have the spam filter, stuff goes there. People will set up folders so that you don't hurt anybody's feelings and unsubscribe. So the stuff goes into the folder, and then you have the deliverability issues of email. Some of these platforms maybe 50-60% at best. Now, the Postal Service, last I checked, 99% deliverability rate. Say what you will about them, it's still 99%. So get offline, first and foremost. Now, here's the three parts of this that I like to do. First is creating engagement with your customers. And what I like to do is create emotional engagement. That means we are like connected somehow. And I do this with a newsletter, a print newsletter, like real print, paper and ink and stuff, and put a stamp on it. And there's no sales mechanism in the newsletter. It is 100% designed to create these connections. For me, it's like Reader's Digest Light. It's very entertaining, and it's got some pieces and parts of my life in there that will connect with certain pieces of my audience. So when I do public speaking, I'll seed my speeches with pieces of my life because it'll connect with different people in the audience. So when it's time for me to sell something, they're like, oh yeah, I remember, yeah, he's been married more than once. That resonates with me. Oh, he's got 4 kids. Yeah, I got kids. So any of these things that you can use to resonate with pieces and parts of your audience you want to use. I'll give you a quick example. My daughter, she's 17 now. I shamelessly use my children in my marketing. I got no problem with it at all. So Emma, when she was younger, was in ballet. And so when she had the recitals, I dutifully took the picture of her in her tutu and I put it in the newsletter, on the front page. So there she is, 5 years old in her little tutu, right on the front page. And I did it for years. And I think she was 10 or 11 years old. We're in the grocery store. And this lady comes running up to us. Actually, she didn't even come running up to me. Came running up to my daughter. And she says, oh my God, Emma, how was your recital? And she looks at me, I look at her, and we're both ready to go hide in the frozen food section. And then I had to think, you know what? She's got to be a client. I have made an emotional connection with this lady, and she's watched my daughter grow up. Thousands of my customers have watched my kids grow up. They're not going anywhere. I would have to royally screw things up for this lady to ever leave my company. And it was as simple as putting a picture of my kid in there. Now, do you want to use your kids? I don't know. It's me. I don't care. Put a picture of your dog in there. You like to go fishing? Put that in there. You like to knit socks? Fine. Put that in. Something that is not related to your industry or business. If you're a plumber, please do not put your new discombobulator valve in there because nobody cares about it more than you do. You know what I mean?
100%.
So make that piece just entertaining and engaging. Now, part number 2 is where you actually do the offer. So this is the promotion. This is where you make the sale. And again, I like to do it through the mail, and it's a postcard. Simple. Just here's the promotion of the month. It is current customer exclusive. It's like the opposite of what the phone companies do. Like all the phone companies says, yeah, we'll give you 16 phones for free if you switch to us. I think that's mean. You're not valuing your customers. We do the customer only exclusive, and they get that. So that gets mailed out. And then we do a weekly email. So it's not over the top. You're not bombarding them with promotions. And the email's set up where like the body of the email is similar to the newsletter, where it's got a little story to it. And then the PS is the offer. So now you've hit them both online and offline, and you've sold to them and you've engaged them. You're creating a relationship. And I have used that system in my businesses. I have taught this system for years now to butcher, baker, candlestick maker. It doesn't matter. Attorney, financial planner. I have a luxury shampoo manufacturer who's a client, and he uses this. So there you go.
No, this is amazing. So for all of you guys who may be distracted by driving while you're listening to this, make sure you got the 3. So correct me if I'm wrong, Vance. So we've got number 1, the emotional connection. And I love the getting offline because it makes you stand out, right? These days, email's great. I know you said in part 3, you do send the email to stay relevant, to stay in their inbox, but physical, having something tangible like a printed newsletter, to a postcard, something someone can touch, and also something that someone can look forward to. I don't know about you, but I open the mail and I'm like, oh great, another bill. Oh shoot, my dog's ready for rabies shots again. I'd like to actually get some mail that's a little more entertaining, that's fun, that I don't just get once a year when my mom sends me a birthday card.
Right.
So,
Well, there's no competition in the mailbox anymore.
no.
And if you think about it, you get the newsletter or anything, you look at it, it's in your hand, so you have to touch it, and you have to actually make a decision what you're going to do with the thing.
Yeah.
An email, it's just hit delete, it's gone.
Yeah.
At least with the newsletter, you got to get it out of the mailbox, you got to carry it through the house. You're going to put it on the counter, you're going to throw it away, what are you going to do with it? And it's got a little and if you design it, it's got staying power, or what I call stick-to-itiveness. If you put a Sudoku puzzle or something in there,
Yeah.
evidently Sudoku people, they will not throw that thing away until it's done. So now it's going to sit on your coffee table or on your kitchen counter.
Yeah.
And you're going to have friends over and go, oh, what's that? Oh, it's a newsletter from my carpet cleaner. Really? What's that? So yeah, it works.
No, but I love that because that's a good point. Are you putting something in there that's not just promotional? Like you said, you separated your promotional from your emotional engagement. The newsletter is value. It's something that builds that trust factor. I love the story about the woman coming up in the grocery store to you and your daughter because she watched her grow up. I use stories of my boys and my fur babies all the time when I'm doing workshops. And it's funny because I've had people do the same thing. I did a gig for Toyota and then ran into someone at a conference, and she came up to me saying, oh my gosh, how are the puppies doing? Because I showed a picture of the big girl that we have and the little tiny toy poodle side by side that looks like a little mini me. And that's what she remembered, right? She didn't come and talk to me about what I was teaching them, which was about creative brief writing. She came and asked me about the puppies, but it started a conversation and she remembered me. So I think
We want that. That's what you want.
Yeah, exactly. That memory building that you're talking about, this emotional connection, and then when it's appropriate, right? The value promotion, I'm hearing you as this is that jumping in point where people can take, for not a lot of money, these small steps toward improving customer retention. Is there anything also that you'd encourage people thinking about? So now they're reaching out, they're refreshing these memories, they're building these memories with past customers, past clients. What comes next, right? How do they move from this kind of trigger moment of reminding them into making sure that the experience that they have next is actually really great?
Certainly. Walt Disney called it plussing, which is continuous process improvement. And trust me, that word was shoved down my throat so many times when I worked. I heard it all the time. But it's a great word, and not too many people use it. But it's looking at something, and so we look at the entire customer journey or customer mapping, whatever, people use different words. And we pinpoint on that map every single place where the customer interacts with our business, all the way, whether it be the website's the first point, or a postcard, or a telephone call. And we map out each of those points. And then we list them out and we look at them and we say, okay, how do we do it now? And we list it all out. And then we look at it and we prioritize it. Okay, what can we improve that's going to have the most impact either on the experience or financially? You either save money or money earned, because you can't do everything all at once. So let's prioritize these things. And then you come up with the new standard for that thing. For example, so I worked with a group of Allstate agents a number of years ago. And for this one group, there were, I don't know, I can't remember what city they were in, but they had to have had, I don't know, there was probably like 10 other Allstate agents in that city. And then, I don't know, a bazillion other insurance agents. And so they wanted a specific way to answer the phone that was going to set them apart from everybody else. So we did a little brainstorming session in their office, and the broker, I think that's what they're called, broker, was a huge rock and roll fanatic. He had autographed guitars on the wall, gold records, posters of the Who and Led Zeppelin and all this stuff. And one of his employees came up with the idea. So normally if you called an insurance company, it'd be something like, "Thank you for calling Dave's Insurance. How can I help you?" Not very memorable. You've called all these, every business answers the phone that way. Now, if you call this guy's office, and remember now, this was an employee's idea, so not his. So you get your best ideas sometimes from your employees. You just got to ask them. So now when you call them, they say, "Thank you for calling Dave's Allstate, the agency that rocks."
I
Now,
love that.
I love it too. Now, the first 16 times you say it, it sounds a little corny. I get it. But remember what your marketing is supposed to do. It's got two jobs. It either attracts the people you want to do business with or repels the people you don't want. So just by answering the phone that way, you're sift sorting and screening out people that would not be a good client for you. And then you get the added bonus of standing out, because nobody can take that from you. That's your personality. It's who you are. And that is taking a boring, mundane thing, plussing it, turning it into something that is an experience. And how much bang for your buck did you get for that? And that's what you just have to look at, each little piece. I worked with doctors' offices quite a bit, and I never understood why doctors are always late, right? Even if you're the first appointment in the morning, he's still late. I don't get it. So 7 a.m., yeah, he'll be with you at 7:15. So so this is great for service recovery as well. So sometimes you can do service recovery and the experience will be better than if you had never had a problem to begin with. I was working with this orthodontist who was just notorious for being late. And so we agreed, the front office staff, we would get in front of this problem and identify it. And we would give the patients, when they came in, we say, "Hey, look, we know Dr. Bob's running a few minutes late again." And we said, "We know your time is valuable. Here's a $5 gift card for the coffee shop down the street. We know your time is valuable. Please use that after your appointment." So we're doing a financial review meeting at the end of the month. And there's a line item down at the bottom for promotions. And I don't know, it was like $3,500. And he's, "What's this?" He's screaming. And since I was the consultant, when they skin off my back, I said, "If you take that number, divide it by 5, that is the number of times you were late in the last month."
Yeah.
And he was, "Oh my God." He was never late again. At least until I left. He was another 60 days. Yeah, that man was naive. He saw that dollar sign and he did not want to be late again. So you've got an issue, get in front of it. You turn that into an experience, turn that into something that will help you fix the problem.
No, I love that. And I would challenge anyone who's watching or listening to this just to do that exercise that you shared that you do with your clients. When was the last time you actually looked at those touch points, looked at the journey? Okay, when someone finds us, when they first inquire, when they actually buy from us, what happens after they buy from us? Does anything happen after they buy from us, to your earlier point? And When have you actually evaluated that? So that's my invitation for you guys listening to this. Take Vance's advice and do that exercise. It doesn't have to be long and complicated, I'd imagine, just
Does
asking
not. I
those
mean,
questions for the first time.
Disney is a very simple, at least in the resorts. I don't want to over, Disney's got so many companies, but in the resorts and in the theme parks, all of the processes are very simple. Because if they weren't simple and easy, everything would fall apart. Think about who's working there. Well, it's a bunch of teenagers that probably safety and stuff is not first and foremost on their minds. Just, it's not. So if we gave them a complex process, it would fall apart. It's like McDonald's. How do they make the Big Mac taste the same in Atlantic City as they do in Glendale, California? It's a system, it's a process. So Disney runs on three words: what to do, how to do it, and the most important one is, why do we do it that way? So if you want to get employee engagement and employee buy-in, you've got to answer that third question. And you've also got to use that consistently for your training and for your employee reviews, because you don't want to compare employees to employees. You want to compare employees to the standards.
Yeah.
And that's how you build a stronger organization. And that's how you can improve your customer experience. And you pick people and make a team. And like that phone answering, I think they've even changed it for the insurance company. I think they've even tweaked it a little bit because they have a process improvement team. And like every 6 or 12 months, they'll revisit some of these strategies and say, how do we make this better? And maybe they can, maybe they can't, but they intentionally review it.
But to your point, I'd imagine that also helps not just with the experience for their customers, but like you said, for their talent. In this day and age, it is hard for local businesses or small to medium-sized businesses to get and keep good talent. So these are tools that you can use not just with that external audience, but your internal audience as well, I'd
Yeah.
imagine.
Do we have time for a quick story?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So I worked with a string of independent oil changes, kind of like a Jiffy Lube, Quick Lube kind of place. And he had that employee turnover problem, but he also had a pricing problem. He was just getting coupon clipped to death. Every time the guy down the street put out a new coupon, he felt he had to put out a new coupon. They were just dying. And I don't know how he connected with me, but I looked at him. I said, one, there is no competitive advantage to being second cheapest. It doesn't do anything for you. And if this guy's going to always come and shave another nickel off, that you can't be second cheapest, so you're going to have to shave a dime off. So do you want to keep doing that? It's a race to the bottom. I said, why don't you go the other direction? Just go straight to the top. He goes, really? I said, why not? Disney does it. They're not bashful, like the dwarf, no pun intended, about charging prices. Actually, it was pun intended, but it's the only joke I've got. And I said, so why don't we look at this and really become the Disney of oil changes he was in Ohio somewhere. And he said, all right, how do we do that? So again, we brainstormed with his team. And I'll give you the short version of it. But so if you remember the 1950s and 60s style service stations where you got four guys that run out, and one guy squeegees your windshield, and the other one's checking the air pressure in your tire, and one guy opens your door. So we had this little team of people swooping out to the car, and the guy's got gloves on, and he puts the little seat cover on, everything. And one guy will escort you into the waiting room. And in the waiting room is not like 3-day-old stale coffee. There's actually a barista in the waiting room. Will make your favorite drink. And he did a whole bunch of other things. But what he also did was he increased his prices 65% to be able to provide this. Now, not everybody is going to want a $90 oil change or whatever the price went up to. But here's what happened. One, he did less work. So the price increase reduced the amount of people that were coming in, but he was still more profitable. So the price increase gave him the additional profits, and he didn't have to work as hard. His employees didn't have to work as hard. They only had to serve, I'm just pulling numbers here, but instead of having to do 20 cars a day, they only had to do 12 cars a day. They were happier. And he taught all of the oil change guys how to make coffee. So they rotated. So they didn't hire a barista. They just rotated the oil guys in to make coffees. They loved that. It was less wear and tear on the equipment, less wear and tear on the building. And Customers love it. Now, was he for everyone? No, he was now attracting a more affluent market. And he found that they were better customers because they weren't complaining about price. They weren't complaining about really anything. They were just a better caliber of customer. Just by raising his price, just by really the experience that he was delivering, with the exception of the stuff to make the coffee, there was no investment in anything. So it didn't cost him anything to create this experience. There was just a little bit of ingenuity. And now he's 65, 70% higher than his closest competitors. His employee, when I talked to him, it was right before Christmas. He goes, Vance, I haven't had to hire anybody in the last 6 months. My longest tenured employee is 7 years now in an industry where that's 6 lifetimes.
No, to your point, their experience is even better. So obviously, I love the quote, there's no benefit to being second cheapest, right?
No, there isn't.
It is. It's a
None
race to
whatsoever.
the bottom. But I think there are so many gold nuggets just in that story is that the experience of his people are better. They want to stay. If they're having a better experience, they're going to deliver a better experience for his customers. No, I don't know about you, but I've never walked into a store or shop or tax accounting office where the people were unhappy and then I had a great experience, right? As soon as you walk in, if you get the vibe from someone working there that they are not having a good day, you are not going to be having a good experience. But it changes the way that your operation is able to deliver. When your people are happy, they're going to deliver a better experience. And to your point, he could do more profit, generate more revenue, more profit with less customers by changing the way he was thinking about what it was he was actually delivering.
Yeah. And who he was selling to.
Yeah. Exactly. No, that's fantastic. Thank you, Vance, so much for sharing these stories. I hope everyone has been hard at work filling out their sticky notes. I know I have. If you missed anything, please re-listen to this. Vance dropped so many gold nuggets, gave you a step-by-step 3-part formula to improve your own retention. I know, Vance, this has probably triggered some questions for folks. If people want to follow up with you after today's episode, what is the best place to connect with you?
Sure. My website would be best, deliverservicenow.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn. I think I'm the only Vance Morris there.
Fantastic. And wherever you're watching or listening to this, we'll make sure to include Vance's links so you can connect with him and follow up after today's session. Thank you, Vance, again so much for joining us today. Any parting thoughts or final advice for our listeners?
Sure. I think, and actually, I don't know if it was during the recording or before when we were chatting, I only have one saying, and you're right, there are probably a lot of nuggets here. Do one thing, pick one thing. My saying is you won't profit unless you implement. Pick one thing and implement it. Otherwise, this has just been a nice 30-minute chat. Hopefully you had a nice time on the treadmill or on your commute home. But seriously, pick one thing you heard and just try it out.
And when you try it out, let Vance and me know. Drop us a line on LinkedIn. We want to hear your stories and how you took action on today's advice. Amazing. Thank you, Vance, so much for being a guest today. Appreciate having you here. And for those of you listening, thank you for joining us. Looking forward to seeing you on the next episode of Sticky Note Marketing.